Hey, what's up, guys? And welcome to the latest edition of Living the Nice Life podcast. Today, I am joined with a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, speaker, new author, Mr. Jorge Sierra. What's up, Jorge?
Hey, blessings, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for having me on, man.
How you doing,
Blessings.
man?
I'm doing amazing. Man. Anytime I get with you, you know that it's nothing but love and family. And so, yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to get on the platform.
Awesome, man. So right now, Jorge is shifting his schedule and making some adjustments right now as he's spiritually celebrating the month of Ramadan. So he's been up late at night, sleeping a little bit during the day, fasting all day. He's getting back to skinny Jorge as I'm looking at him right now on the camera. So man, kudos
Yeah,
to you, bro. I know that's
thank you.
extremely challenging, and spiritually and mentally, that's probably a good sort of reset button for you right now.
It is. It is.
So, guys, I'm so excited to have Jorge on with us tonight because he has just such an amazing story. You talk about somebody who's overcome obstacles, and we talk about mindset all the time. I'm so big on mindset. And you speak to a guy like Jorge, or you meet a guy like Jorge, and if you're fortunate enough, like I am, to have a relationship with a man like Jorge, you really see what the results can be if you make a shift in your mindset. So for people who don't know Jorge, just before we get into how you and I kind of met, I want them to kind of really fully understand, who you are as a person and where you came from. So start from the beginning for us and just kind of get into it so they have an idea of who we're talking with tonight.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, just to give a little insight, Hispanic Puerto Rican, born in Puerto Rico, but raised out here in the United States, raised in Connecticut. Growing up, life was challenging just like for a lot of us from the area that I came up. Lived in the projects. My father was never in my life. He, I never recalled of him or anything to that extent. Mother had me at the age of 13, 14. She's pregnant at 13 and had me at the age of 14. So baby having another baby. And that particular situation, put her in a situation that she got thrown out the house and she left me behind with my grandmother. And so in that space, I'm living in a household with, just all females. My aunt, her daughters. So it was just me as a male, pretty much the only male figure that I could count on. I did have two other male figures, which was my grandfather, step-grandfather, and my uncle, which, as growing up, in the welfare systems, growing up, really not having much. It was just one of those things that when you're a little kid, you pretty much don't know what you have and don't have. They either love on you or they don't, right? You start realizing these things when you start getting into middle school, right? That's when you start really realizing, you start looking around and you start kind of identifying what you don't have.
So Jorge,
Yeah.
where's Dad in the picture?
So
Dad.
dad right now,
No,
oh,
at this point in your life.
I don't even know. I didn't even know. There was no dad at home. There was no dad at home. The only two male figures I had was my grandfather and my uncle. And I'm gonna emphasize this. And the reason when I say I didn't have no male figures is because they both were heroin addicts. And I remember at an early age just running around my grandmother's house and being exposed to certain rooms, and I would catch them with needles in their arms. So that was the role models I had. And come to, as I said, started going into middle school, I realized that, you don't know when you're a young kid, you really don't know, you only resonate with what's around, with your situation. So for the longest, I thought my situation was my situation. I thought that's that everybody did. People partied, people got, did drugs. And that's what the type of environment I was at home. And so when I started going to school, I realized that wasn't the norm. When people were actually teachers were asking questions or talking about drugs and sex, and just kind of, then I understood that was not something that every family household did.
Yeah.
So that became my environment for my whole childhood. I'll be honest with you. There was no, I recall different holidays. To this day, holidays are not something for like it. I celebrate them, but it's like The only holiday I love is Thanksgiving. Why? Because there was always a physical fight inside my household amongst family members. You know, people talk about dealing with the outside, but I had to deal with the inside before I dealt with the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was challenging. It was definitely challenging. By the time I hit, my 13, the age of 13, that, seeing these individuals, now that I look back and I think about just running through, being exposed at an early age to drugs, that was the catalyst of me starting to smoke weed by the age of 13. That was the spark plug of me just saying, oh, this is nothing. And that turned into me, not only smoking weed, but eventually, start hanging out into the streets and involving myself. Because think about it, at this young, at the age of 13, there's a couple things that happen with a young man. Whether that young man or that young lady want to admit it, we want guidance. We want somebody to show us what it is, because we have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And so if there's no dialogue between you and that child's going to find some information elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Yeah,
it's just a simple. Some parents don't want to talk to their kids about sex or anything like that. They're going to find it somewhere.
Yeah, my wife and I, we talk about that all the time. Like, obviously, Mas, he's 15 now and he's dating, and I have a 12-year-old, and my daughter's 9. And it's like, as uncomfortable as it is, if you don't, if you don't just break that ice and just have those conversations, especially with the access to the internet nowadays and all this stuff, they're going to find that information. So you want to get it to them in the best possible light that you can present it to them, so that they're not finding out from other spaces and, in the wrong manner.
Yeah. It's
so
huge
you
to
got
know
no
that.
guidance in your house. You're seeing all this craziness. So you take to the streets and you wind up probably hanging out with gang members, right?
All day. So that's exactly what it is. And you start interacting with individuals that you have things in common, right? No father in the household. You start hanging around with individuals that are broke, and and we're sitting around with talking about how can we make it out of this situation, because we don't want to be in this situation, but it's the norm. So yeah, that turns into relationships, not healthy relationships, because everybody's broken at that time. We're all young, but majority of the time, to be honest with you, Joe, you end up hanging out with older people. And
Yeah.
that's where it becomes the problem. So now you're getting guided, and that turned into me becoming a full-blown a gang member. Started with participating with just involving myself, coming around the crew. Now I'm becoming part of the crew, and now I'm at the time, by the age of 15, I'm already leading the crew. So that was just a two-year window, and it seemed like it was a long time. But between 13 and 15, a lot of things happened. And so that turned into me selling drugs, using drugs, playing with guns. And now think about it. There was no one at home that had any structure within themselves. So there was no structure within myself. And so by the time I had 15, I was walking in and out the house like there was no tomorrow. Like if I was a grown man, right? And that's how they allowed it. And so by 15, to be honest with Joe, full-blown gang member, full-blown playing with guns, drug dealer, and dibbling and dabbling with tasting drugs here and there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you
And
want so now you're in the streets. You're part of a gang. You're dabbling with drugs. You're exposed to guns, violence, probably girls, all kinds of craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you got into some trouble. So take us back real quick as we fast forward through all that nonsense that you were living for those couple of years. Take us to the courthouse steps, Jorge. In Bristol.
So those last couple those years, my early 10 years, it seemed like it was a long time, but it really, looking back, it was just a couple of years. It was literally 2 years within me fully invested myself into the gang activity. Then 2 more years moving forward to what you're talking about. So for the last 4 years, I was literally didn't do anything but involve myself with all these activities. And what I mean is that at 15, I dropped out of high school. So I'm a 9th grade dropout. I decided to fully commit myself to the streets because nobody at home could understand me. And that's where my brothers loved me, and they had my back, and that's just what it was. In the midst of that transition, I got caught with crack cocaine. And so the way I got caught with crack cocaine was that I was literally walking down Bristol, Connecticut, one afternoon, and I'm walking down the courthouse police department, and these individuals that I actually knew, and we stopped to talk. In the midst of me talking to them, I just see these sheriffs and cops coming out from the inside the building, and they put us against the wall. Now, what I didn't know is that literally a couple minutes prior to me stopping to talk to these guys as I was walking, they were playing with a cap gun, a fake cap gun. Somebody called it in. They said that there was some young brothers out in front of the courthouse with gun, and obviously they came out. They put us against the wall, and I'm being searched. They found a fake gun, but guess what, guys? They found crack cocaine on me.
Yeah.
That right there, you know, I always say that was the most idiotic, you know, criminals. Like they didn't even have to, Joe. They didn't put me in a cop car. they
You were
walked me.
outside. You were outside the police station.
Joe, they walked me inside the court. Inside the police department. So you have the police department in the first floor, courthouse in the second. So literally, they just came out, grabbed me, and bring me back inside.
You know what's so crazy, Jorge? All the all the bad things that you did, right? All the bad things that you were a part of for all those 4 years when you were on the streets and you had never gotten caught or busted, right? So now you just happen to be walking down the street. Yeah, you have drugs on you, but you're basically saying, yo, what's up? Wrong place, wrong time.
That's it.
Right.
And
so
that's
so
really how
they find you with drugs. They take you upstairs. You get locked up, I'm sure, for possession of
narcotics.
They process you, and then they let you go, right?
I sat there, and for the grace of God, I got one phone call, right? Because for those brothers that out there don't understand that one little situation will turn into a big situation. If you don't have money or you don't have somebody to back you up and bail you out, you will sit there until you go see a judge. Yeah. And if you don't have the money to get bailed out, you will sit there until you actually go through the process of getting proven innocent or guilty. Yeah, that's it. Like.
Yeah, listen, you get locked up, you know, I mean, you know, people who are listening, they know that, you know, most of them know that I'm a police officer and, you know, you get locked up and if your crime is a bailable offense, the judge is going to set bail for you. If you can't make bail, you're getting remanded to county jail and you'll stay there until, you know, you get to court and you have either a court appointed attorney, you know, petition to get your bail lowered, or if your bail is set and you can't make it, you will sit in jail for the length of your trial. Yeah. So, you know, it's a serious, you know, when bail gets set, it's serious. So you get a phone call. Who do you call?
I call grandma. I don't got nobody else, guys. I don't got father. I don't got my mom. It's not, she's in and out, but it's grandma. And so
this is the woman who took you in. Yes. Okay. From when your mom abandoned you, you call grandma. She comes to get you.
Yes, she comes to get me, and I got lucky, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's Joe. Those type of instances of what I look back and reflect on how my life could have gone so much worse than what it was. But she bailed me out, right? She got me out. She did whatever. My grandma don't have no money, but she made it happen, and it was a good penny. That, you know, there's crack cocaine on a federal building. Like I promised you, that was a good penny. And they got me out, and so I had to go to court. When you bailed out, you have to eventually see a court date. And a month after that was my court date, which was May 2nd of 94. Okay. And so May
2nd, you show up at court.
Yep. Right? May 2nd of 94. Yep. May 2nd of 94, I show up to court.
May 2nd just passed.
Yes. May 2nd of 2020 was actually, it's been 26 years. Yes.
26 years. All right. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I have to go to court now. I'm 17 at this point. I'm still a minor, and somebody has to come to court with me, because even though I think I'm the man and I got an S on my chest and I've been with women and I'm playing with drugs, gun, but realistically, society says, nah, bro, you're a minor. You can't be competent enough to sit in trial or get without an adult. And so, you know, the one that came with me, because my grandmother, for her health issues, she couldn't come, was my mother. So my mother, you know, came in, and as we going into that building, you know, me and my mom have more of a brother and sister relationship. So she's reminding me how much of a screw up I am. We're literally going into the building. She's upset that she has to miss work to go deal with this. And she's like, dude, like, you know, and I'm saying to myself, like, what you talking about? I learned this from y'all. Like, what are you like? And that's how I reflect on it. Yeah. Right. I was just like, yo, you got nerves. And obviously I'm not saying that to her. I'm thinking about it because that's easier to said and done. But I recall back just having that emotion, like, nah, you guys did that for me. You know, pointing your fingers at somebody else, because that was really my mistake. But I was pointing my fingers at them. Mm-hmm. And so in the midst of that, we go upstairs, the courthouse in the first floor, courthouse in the second floor. And so we go up the stairs, we sit down, I go into the courtroom, and I sit in there for a good 15, 20 minutes when I actually hear the doors open up, and I look over my shoulder, and I see this dude, this young man. and he's looking at me, he's staring at me for a little bit. I don't know who he is, but we do the whole eyes exchange. We're looking at each other, and that turned into him going into making a phone call. I seen him get into the payphone. I already automatically knew. My mom said, "Jorge, not here," and I'm like, "Nah, man, I don't know who this is." But I remember, it's been 3 years, 4 years since I've been in the streets doing all kind of crazy stuff.
You know something's up right now.
It's human instincts. You know
my
when
man staring at you, and now he's making a call. You know something's up.
I knew, right? I've been on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with you. I've been on the other side of that. So that turned into eventually like about 10, 15 minutes, Joe. 4 or 5 individuals show up, and now there's 4 of them, and there was a 5th one, but the 5th one was actually outside, just out waiting. And so that turned into them throwing gang signs at me, and now we're inside the courtroom, mind you. And my mom's trying to hold me back. I'm throwing gang signs at them, and they eventually walk by me and say something that turned into a verbal altercation, which it turned into eventually a physical altercation. Now I'm fighting all 4 of these dudes inside the courtroom. My mom is grabbing me. I'm fighting them. The sheriffs jump on all of us, and they start dragging us down the stairs, right?
So you're fighting these dudes inside the courthouse?
Yes, sir. I'm inside the courtroom fighting
So
for my life.
Guys out of the room now.
Now we're getting dragged out of the room. Mom and everybody. Okay. All 4 of them, including myself and my mother. We are all getting dragged out of it.
So you end up on the front steps.
We get up on the front steps, and then ultimately, as soon as we get through that we end up in the front steps, I hear my mom screaming, and she literally starts screaming, "Gun, gun." I ultimately looked to where she was at. I jumped in front of her, and the first bullet hit me. It literally stopped me right where I was standing at. The second bullet hit me. I said to myself, like, Jorge, you got to run, because they're trying to kill you. And as I soon as try to pivot and I run inside the building again, I collapsed. I landed on my stomach, on my face. And the gentleman that was shooting at me ran up to me and shot me 4 more times in my back, and then continued to run off.
So you got shot 6 times?
Yes, sir.
In front of your mom?
In front of my mother, at her feet. And and I want to say this, even though me and my mother were more like cats and dogs, me and my mother really were more like brothers and sisters, I was her firstborn. Yeah. And when I got gunned down, my mom urinated on herself. And it's traumatic. It's really, and this is something that we don't understand as young adults, that we not only hurting ourselves, but we hurt everybody else around us.
So Jorge, by the grace of God, you're still here talking to me right now, but what has changed since that day physically for you? Because people who are listening right now don't know who you are. What has happened to you since then? Ultimately, that day, what did you find out when you went to the hospital?
So that day, when I woke up, because I was, in the coma for a few days. When I did wake up, I realized I hear the doctor actually in the room, and he's telling my grandmother, my mother, that he apologized, but your son will never walk again. And so I've been paralyzed since the age of 17 due to gun violence, and it changed my life. It changed my life, at the time for the worse, because really, 17 took my legs. I'm not educated. I don't have no type of social connection with what's going on in the real world. And realistically, I'm sitting in the hospital now. I have to wear diapers, and I use catheters. Anybody don't know what a catheter is a plastic tube that is about 16 inches wide, long. And I have to use that to put inside my private area so I can urinate on a daily basis for the last 26 years.
So, listen, So you said something before when you were talking about how, that day changed your life for the better, right? Before you told the story how you got shot and how you're paralyzed. You took something that probably, Jorge, would break most people. And I know that after it happened, I know you went back to, to messing around with gangs and stuff like that. And I know you had a daughter, right, at the time?
Yeah. I want to stress to everybody, right, Joe? I want to, and I'm gonna get back to my daughter, but I want to stress to everybody, way before I got put in a physical chair, I had a mental chair. Yeah. So way before I got paralyzed physically, I was already mentally paralyzed. So that year, May 2nd of '94, I got put in a chair, and then December 14th of '94, my daughter was born.
So your girl at the time was pregnant when you got shot.
Yes, correct.
So you had your daughter, and I know that we've had this conversation before, but I know you fast forward a while, you found yourself hanging out with like the same crowd, the same crew, doing the same shit with like a baby with you.
Yeah.
What was
So
the eye-opening moment, Jorge, when you said like, all right, fuck this, man. I can't live like this anymore.
yeah, no, that's good. So be honest with you, even when having my daughter, I still continue to do the foolishness because, you know, we determine our truth to be what we are surrounded by. And for the longest, while I was in Connecticut, you know, I got sick. My family, obviously, after I got gunned down, they left. Some went to New York, some came to Massachusetts. So that's how I ended up in Massachusetts. My grandmother left to Massachusetts. And so eventually I stood in Connecticut for 2 years after me getting gunned down. And then eventually, you know, got sick and, you know, still having that same lifestyle, Joe. But realistically, I'm not the same man. I'm not the same person, right? Now I got medical issues. Now I'm not attending to these medical issues. My life changed. I'm not the same dude. Now those friends that were around me, that were my boys, my brothers, because they were talking about my brothers. First of all, none of them were in the hospital. Second of all, when it got real, that they have to help take the chair and bring me up the stairs, take me down the stairs, take the chair out the car, bring it out the car. Like realistically, when that became a job for half of them, they disappeared. When I started using diapers and I had accidents on myself, guess what? Nobody wanted to deal with that. You see, I was real when it came down to doing all this street stuff, but when it was time to keep it real with me, they all disappeared. So that left me by myself in Connecticut, and I had to make a choice. I got sick. I left to Massachusetts. That's how I got to Massachusetts. Now I found myself in Massachusetts going to GED school, because I'm like, okay, I new fresh start, new environment. I don't know nobody, so I started GED. In that midst of that, started meeting people. Now I'm catching myself going back to the same behavior, Joe. What do I mean by that? Nobody that I know, I didn't grow up with none of these folks, but now they're gang members. Now I'm socializing with people that are selling drugs. Now I'm in the midst of that.
Not in Connecticut no more. Now you're doing the same shit in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts, Joe. So you said, when was that pivot? Well, that pivot is when I caught myself sitting in this circle and realizing, like, yo, what's next, dude? Yeah. Is it life in jail? Yeah. Is it 6 feet under?
So you had that discovery just on your own. You happened to be.
I had that discovery, Joe. I had that.
Like, yeah. I need, you know, this can't be my life no more.
I had that discovery, Joe, when I started looking at my surroundings. You see, a lot of times we subconsciously we continue to do the same thing, and I realized that what has happened to me, it's not normal. Now I'm interacting with people, not so much people that are from the street, but I also was interacting with people that were business owners. Now I'm interacting with people that are going to school, that actually have like social lives.
You know what's so powerful, and I said this not too long ago. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I said that I heard this one time, and it says that your environment will change you before you change your environment. Yeah. So you're hanging out with all these gangbangers. Guess what? You know, good little Jorge became bad Jorge, the gangbanger, right? Now you go to Massachusetts, you start hanging around with the same people. Now, as soon as you have that realization that, listen, this is not my life no more. I can't do this no more. And you start shifting your mindset and putting your energy in a positive direction, going for your GED, talking to people, you know, hanging yourself around people who are trying to get an education and bettering themselves, hanging around people who are business minded and are doing things in a positive direction. Your life starts to switch. Now, we could sit here and listen, your story is so amazing. We could talk about 9 million things, but I'm going to fast forward to the point where you find, I guess, being a barber, right?
I was just going to tell you, let's just fast forward to that, because that's really when I was exposed.
Yeah. So now, Jorge, it's a barber school, right?
Barber school. Yes. It was a barber school.
Yeah. So brush through that for us real quick, and then we'll hit the next.
I'm sorry. Real quick, that the barber thing came about me driving by and I seen a young lady, thought she was cute, stopped, have my friend stop. I was in a car, and we started talking, and she basically told me, well, no, I'm not a nurse, because I was trying to be cute about it. And she said, well, I go to barber school. I literally had my friend take out the chair out the car, and I got in my chair and I wheeled my butt inside the building because I was intrigued. I was like, I always got haircuts, but I didn't know there was a barber school, and I never left that building. I went in there just asking questions, just kind of like intrigued, and went in there playing around, talking about, I want to be a barber, talking about, and I'm in a wheelchair. So imagine when the secretary looked at me, she didn't know how to answer that, right? Yeah. Because if you think about it, barbering and cosmetologists consist of standing up. That's what they do. They work behind a chair. So they called the instructor in there and to come talk to me. And she looked at me and she said, oh, so Miss Jill Quinto, if you get to hear this, I love you to this day because you changed my life, Miss Jill Quinto. Right? We all need a Miss Jill Quinto in our lives. And Miss Jill Quinto took me into that clinic floor. She had me look around. She said, do you really want to be a barber? I said, yes, ma'am. And then I thought she was playing. And then she was like, well, listen, I need you to transfer from this chair to this chair. So now I'm looking at this lady weird because I'm like, okay, how are you? Because I'm playing with this, Joe. I'm not even real about it. I'm just intrigued with it. I'm not really talking about becoming a barber. I never thought about it.
You're not thinking you're going to be a barber.
No.
Yeah.
She actually had me move from one chair to another. And she showed me that and she said, when do you want to sign up? And I looked at this lady like, what are you talking about? Like, do you see the obvious? I'm the minority in this room.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about skin color.
No, you're talking
about
yeah.
I'm in the wheelchair. And she said to me, she said, life is what you make it. And if you really want to change your life and you really want to make something of yourself, it's all just a decision. And from there, Joe, I never left the building.
Yeah, and you became Wheels the barber.
Yes, yes.
Listen, this is what I'm talking about, people. Like he became the paralyzed barber, but then he developed the skill and he took his disability and turned it into, yo, I'm going to see Wheels the barber. Like he took his disability and turned it into a trademark. And people are like, yo, my man Jorge's in a wheelchair. He gives dope cuts. He gives dope fades. People come to see you probably just because you were in a wheelchair.
That's all. Let's be honest with you, Joe. And I'm going to make this real quick so I know we got a lot to go through. But I understand this. And this is for anybody, young adults, older, young, like whoever you are. The whole thing of doubting yourself and taking you and always sitting in that weakness mindset, like that's all that is. I was able, and I didn't know this in the beginning, right? I promise you, I walked into it because when she told me, she gave me that I believe in you thing.
Yeah.
That was huge for me. Nobody's ever talked to me like that. That's number one. I was like, if you believe in me, and Joe, me and you were always having conversation. Like when you invest in me, I don't waste my time for anybody that invested in me. And so when she told me, she said, you know, you ever had to do that? I literally, just to give you a recap of it, not only I became a barber, but they would call me G the Barber Wheels, right? That I took my weakness and I turned it into a brand. So people would bug out just the fact at first, like, how you cut hair? Like that was a conversation within itself. I said, well, come see me. The first haircut's on me. And if you don't like it, you don't got to come back. But if you do, you got yourself a barber. That's it, right? And so that turned into becoming a master barber for the last 20 years, my brother.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, a business owner.
Oh, I've been to this day. I've still owned a shop for 16 years. I've been a master barber for over 20 years. I've been part of the Massachusetts Barbering Board for several years as the state rep. I also was the advocate for the state to actually test you. So not only I educated you as an instructor, dual license, cosmetology and barbering, I actually tested you. So you were the one that I was one of the ones you actually got. Had to come to get tested with to get licensed. And then at a high level, I would be the one to recommend you if you got caught doing any unlawful things in the barber industry. So when I say I dominated the barber and beauty industry, I dominated, I've flown across the country. I've done stage work. I've traveled with the highest of the highest when it comes to the industry. And I don't say this to gloat. I'm saying this just to let you know that poor Jorge, uneducated, 9th grade dropout, right? Welfare recipient.
Started from the bottom.
And I was able to make a decision. It was just a decision. And for the grace of God, pushing through the adversity, that's how I got here.
So Jorge, so you did all that stuff. You're a business owner. You got a beautiful wife who's also a dope barber.
Better
right?
than me. Better than me.
Better than you. She gives you your haircuts now, right? Yeah. So listen, and nothing. So Jorge got gunned down. He shot 6 times, moved from Connecticut to Massachusetts, was still in a wheelchair, was still doing the same stuff. But now nothing's changed. He's still in the wheelchair. He still has a disability. But the only thing that changed was his mindset changed. That's it. That's the only thing that changed. And his mindset changed his life. So people are so stuck on the fact that they think that their circumstance defines who they are. And it's such horse shit. They feel sorry for themselves. They think that they're trapped. They think that that's their life. That's what they're destined to be. All it is Jorge, you said it. It's just a decision to want to be better. It's a decision to want to surround yourself with better people. It's a decision that you're going to not settle for the life that was given to you, but you're going to create a life of your own.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better, Joe.
That's it.
Has it been easy, Joe? No.
Hell no, man. Listen,
But life is not easy, period.
No, listen. So we met. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. We met in Philadelphia at an Eric Thomas convention. Okay. I started following ET, and then I heard about these conferences, and like the guy literally changed my life years ago just by his words on YouTube. And I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna be in Philadelphia. So I paid for this conference, and I'm like, listen, I'm not going to just pay to sit in the back. Like, I want the VIP experience. So I paid the extra money. I sat in the front, and in 2 rows in front of me, there was this Puerto Rican guy with a silk shirt on, with tinted sunglasses on, gold chain, diamond earrings, sitting in the front seat in a wheelchair. And I remember E.T. pointed you out, and he started talking to you. And I guess you guys had met. He had heard about your story or whatnot, and you were sitting in the front row. I was 2 rows behind you. And at the end of the conference, I just happened to say what's up to you, like just as I was leaving, out of respect. And sure enough, man, like the next conference was in Philly. You were there again. Next conference I went to was in Boston. You were there again. And I met Jason for the first time there. And we just developed like this sort of like kind of friendship. And for anybody who doesn't know, Eric Thomas not only is just the #1 motivational speaker in the world, he has an entire company. It's called ETA and Associates. And he has all these training programs. And, you know, what I didn't know is that Jorge was investing in himself at the time to become a certified speaker through Eric Thomas. And that's why he was at all these events. He was paying to go to these events while he was learning how to become a professional speaker. Okay, and that's why people are so, Jorge, people want, like, they want to be the best. They want the success. They want the top. They want the glitz and the glam. But when you ask them to invest in themselves to make it there, they don't want to spend the money nor the time. And you're never going to make it anywhere in life. Like, you didn't become a master barber by just saying, I want to be a master barber. Did it cost you money to go to school?
It cost me over $20,000 just to go to school.
Did it cost you?
We're not even talking about what else through the years. Yeah.
What about time? How much time did it cost you?
Most importantly, time. 1,000 hours physically to be in school. Once you go do that, you have to take your test. We could go on and on. But yes, I got this saying, Joe, real quick. I got this saying that people want what it looks like, but they don't want what it feels like.
No, man, because what it feels like sucks. And it hurts, and it's disappointing, and and there's money involved, and there's patience involved, and most people can't wait. They got to have it right now. I need it now. I need it now. Listen, I spent over $10,000 getting certified through Eric Thomas, but that's an investment in myself. So people are like, you're crazy. No. That process changed my life. And eventually will change my bank account. But I was willing to put in the time, the effort, the work. Boy, how many times did you and I fly to Michigan on our dime? Fly to Chicago on our dime. Right?
I did it for 3 years, my brother.
I used to serve people for free.
3 years.
You want to know why? That's part of the process. And we're willing to pay the debt that it's going to take to make it to where we both want to go. Yeah. And most people are not willing to pay the price. That's why they never make it. And as soon as it gets hard, they quit. They go try to find the path of least resistance. But I'm going to try to do that. That sounds easier.
Right? And Joe, that's why people rock with when they see me. Because my excuses don't excuse me to get my family to the next level.
Listen, and the reason why I was bringing up how sort of we met, now we just became sort of friends just through, hey, yo, what's up? Followed you on Instagram. You followed me on Instagram. Nothing more than that. Spend a couple of minutes together here, a couple of minutes together there. Then I go to Atlanta. I take my boys down to Atlanta. Eric, E.T. and his son Jalen had a triple-double leadership camp that they held for kids, a basketball camp. Yeah. And I took my boys down there, and you happened to be there. Alfred was there. Kendall was there. Mm-hmm. Right? All these guys are there. And now we start to develop a real relationship. And dude, like.
But why is that though, Joe? Why is that? Joe, why is that? Because you showed up. Yeah. I showed up. That's the only way that was gonna happen, Joe. We showed up, and people don't even show up, Joe.
Yeah. Listen,
you expected.
I went there. I paid for everything. And then listen, while you were there those couple of days, you know, I helped you get in and out of the chair, helped you
Yep.
your car, like, and I'm like, man, this guy's doing this. Look how hard it is. No excuses, nothing but love for the kids, nothing but appreciation and gratitude for the opportunity to do stuff for free. Who's excited about that, Jorge? Nobody. Where's my check?
We are.
Where my check is, right? But when and now he's like, yo, I know you're a police officer. Do you want to speak to the kids? And that was my first opportunity that I was able to serve anybody. And I remember sitting down in this classroom with all these African-American kids in Atlanta, thousands of miles from where I live, who hate the police.
Yes, I remember, Joe. I remember.
Yeah, and like I went in there and I spoke to them and I spoke to the parents. And, you know, he was like, yo, man, you really have a gift. You should think about Game Changers. And I came back and I signed up for the same program that you signed up for. And again, going to all these places for free, going to the training seminars in Atlanta, Georgia, having to get on a plane and pay for the plane ticket, listen, I have a wife and kids. I wasn't making this a vacation. I would get up in the morning. I would fly to Atlanta, get in a cab, go right back to the airport and fly home. So I was sleeping in my bed at night.
I remember that. I thought I was crazy because I was at least staying a day after and leave because I got my wife and kids. But when you were just like, you literally was like in and out, like straight.
I remember one time, you know, the trainings were Saturdays and Sundays, but I own a business and I can't get down there on Saturdays. So I would just do the Sunday. Right, listen, I can only be there one day. They would know, they would schedule me to speak in front of everybody on that Sunday. But I remember one Saturday night, I had a party, okay? And the party ended at 12 o'clock on Saturday night, right? So the training started at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday in Atlanta. Yeah. I'm in New York at midnight. Yeah. I drove to Newark Airport in New Jersey. I got there at 1:30 in the morning. I slept on a stainless steel table in the lobby of the airport because the gates were closed because there was no flights going out. The first flight didn't go out till like 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning. So the people didn't show up to check you in till like 5 or 5:30. I got to the airport at 1:30. I slept on a stainless steel table until 4:30, 5 o'clock, so I could get up, check in, get on a plane, get to the airport, get in a cab, fly there, and got there like 15 minutes late.
I remember. Killed the game. Killed it.
Did my training, got on a plane, got on a cab, went back to the airport, got on a plane, got home. I was home by 9 o'clock at night. Like, people are not willing to make the investment in themselves, especially when things are difficult, especially when they don't get what they want right away. Oh, you mean it's going to take me? Dude, it took me, I think, 10 months for to get certified.
Yeah.
Because I had so much stuff going on in my life. I couldn't invest all the time and really put my nose down to it. So I had to do it when I could do it. 10 months at $1,000 a month, $10,000.
And we're not that, but that was just the train. That's not including everything else, Joe. So
not including everything else. Right. So now you're a certified speaker. I'm a certified speaker. You know, we're doing our thing right now. You're mentoring kids who come from a very similar background that you came from. That's where you sort of found your niche and thought that you could make the most impact on kids' lives. I'm in the athlete space right now, right? So I'm working with athletes. That's sort of my passion and my love. And you know, you just which we got to talk because I want to order a bunch of books and give them to some kids by me, right? That are struggling, because you would think that I'm from like this affluent area in Westchester County, New York, upper middle, but there's so many kids that come from broken homes with one parent, or, you know, no money in the well. And I didn't know it until I became the SRO in the school. And there's so many kids that can learn or benefit from your new author, and you wrote a book.
Yes, I did.
Listen, guys, you could be anything you want in this life. If you believe in yourself, make up your mind and work your ass off. Jorge is a ninth grade dropout who got gunned down on the streets of Bristol, Connecticut courthouse, right in front of the courthouse. He's paralyzed in a wheelchair. He became an entrepreneur. He became a mentor. He became part of somebody who's changing an industry. And now he's an author. He has a GED. He's an author. His book just came out, Paralyzed to Prosperous. Jorge, give us a little bit about what the book is about so we can get some people on board. You know,
the book is about my struggle. The book is about being at one point in my life with that paralyzed mindset and transitioning to that prosperous mindset. And so, you know, the book is going to show you how to, you know, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Like people are you said it, Joe, and I don't even got to go deeper to it, but everybody wants what it looks like, but they don't want to get uncomfortable. And I promise you, let's talk about Joe. You work out just like myself. And for you to gain some muscles, and you know that you're working with me on certain, when it comes to my working out, because I want to take it to the next level. Like for me to get to the point that I want to, that at one point I had, like I have to stretch my muscle. I have to hurt. I have to get uncomfortable. I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the 5 a.m. club, Joe. I got to eat right. I got to do meal preps. But everybody wants the six pack, but you don't want what it looks like. So the book is going to help you to identify how you get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. That's number one. Number two, your surroundings, your situation does not define who you are. And so I go into certain areas of my life that I'm gonna show you through storytelling and kind of break down what the principles are and how I was able to transition from that paralyzed mindset into the prosperous. And the book is, you know, I'll be honest with you, I put everything into it that I had. It was the most. Let's talk about this real quick. That was the most intimidating process for me, Joe. Joe, you know, you and I talked a couple of times, and I told you, I said, Joe, I'm not a ninth grade dropout. Midst of that project, I doubted myself. I was like, yo. Like who's gonna, like, I can't even, it's hard for me to put it on paper. What you said, Joe, stop playing. You're being selfish. Yeah. Now you're talking about what you want or what you're feeling. This is what's gonna save some lives. Now, once I got pushed through that, because again, it's a decision. And I realized, I'm like, yo, wow, again, you know, we all are victims of trying to convince ourselves of certain things. And that's nonsense. Because now that I look it over on the other side of it, May 2nd of 2020 of this year, my book was released. Now we changed the trajectory of May 2nd of 94. No longer I'm going to think about when I got gunned down. Now I'm like, we broke the legacy. We got legacy. We broke the chains. Now my nephews could see what it looks like. Yeah, my daughter could see what it looks like.
You don't think about May 2nd anymore as getting gunned down. You think about May 2nd as now I'm a published author.
That's it. With my chest pumped out, with my there's some more books coming.
Boy, here's what I learned, right? And I had this conversation the other day. You're being held back. You were being held back by like, who's going to listen to me? Why would anybody want to listen to me? But your story matters to so many people that you don't know, right? I say it all the time. Like, why do athletes want to listen to me? I never made it to the NFL. I never played Division I college ball. You know what? Most people don't make it to the NFL. Most people don't make it to play college ball. So I'm them. The kids that I'm talking to in the seats, the kids that I'm talking to in the classroom, they're going to be me. And the lessons that I learned growing up athletically, maybe they're not going to get you to a Division I scholarship, or maybe they're not going to get you to the pros because you're not good enough, but they're going to stay with you for the rest of your life, and you're going to be a successful college student. You're going to be a successful employee or business owner. You're going to be a successful husband. You're going to be a successful father. So my story matters. And I had to tell myself that at one point. I'm like, why would anybody listen to me? And I'm like, dude, I had a switch went off in my head. I'm like, because they're you. They're going to be you. Jorge, do you know how many kids are in your situation right now? Yeah. Who are doubting themselves, who are listen, I speak to kids every day in my school, Jorge, who are going down the same path that you went down. Yeah. So if you could save one of those kids, bro, one of those kids from going to jail for the rest of their lives or getting murdered or overdosing on drugs, then your story was worth it.
It really was.
And it meant something. You were put on this earth to change lives through your mistakes and your experiences, right? Losers only learn from their mistakes, right? And sometimes it's too late. You only get one mistake. The successful people, the smart people, they learn from other people's mistakes.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So a loss is only a loss if you don't learn from it. Right? People can learn from you. That's why you have to speak, Jorge. You
Yeah,
have
for
to write a
sure.
book.
Now it's not even a choice, man. Now it's my purpose, and it has been my purpose for the last. I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this for 20 years, man. And see, this is where we made mistakes. See, the barbering platform, I thought it was because I just cutting hair. It was prepping me for what was coming next. You see, in being a barber, you have to be able to pour into your clients. You have to be able. So I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been giving advice for a long time. Once I got a taste of success, meaning around actual entrepreneurs, actual people that converse into a higher learning, I was so intrigued with that. Like that was a whole different world. But I was able to take that, put it in a bottle, and now I'm just serving everybody with that, right? Just giving it to every kid that comes across that has a doubt, that has a story that, because one thing we don't want to do is be here and compare our narratives, right? Like we all have something,
No,
and that's what
everybody
we
has
are.
a story.
We all have something. Yes. I told a kid, I went to a school one time and I told a kid, I told the story after we did the story. They came to me and the kid tells me, well, my dad got shot 16 times. I was like, my bad. You know what I'm saying? And he was just not telling me, he was just telling me like, yo, you got shot 6, but my dad got shot 16 times. I was like,
Does it matter?
I don't think you got the point. I don't think, God bless your dad. And I'm glad he made it. And I'm glad he's alive, but I don't think you got the point. Like we don't want to get shot. It's not normal to get shot. It's not normal to shoot somebody. It's not normal to get arrested. It's not normal to become a drug addict or a drug dealer. That's not the norm. That's
Yeah.
not normal.
Jorge, when you look back at your life right now, right, and you look back at where you were before you got shot and shortly after you got shot, the people that you were associating with, the things that you were involved in, right, and now you look at where you are right now, and the thing that I love about E is the fact that he taught me that character supersedes everything.
Everything.
Right? And everybody that he associates himself with. Listen, I've been to the man's hotel at 4:30 in the morning. We walked the beach together and watched and talked about life and as the sun rose. So I consider myself, now listen, the man is the number one motivational speaker in the world. He's in San Diego, he's in Los Angeles, he's in Atlanta, he's in Detroit, he's all over the place. So we don't see each other on a regular basis, but we have that relationship and mutual respect, obviously, for each other. So when you look at all the people that he associates himself with, when I went down to Atlanta and I hung out with you and Alfred and Kendall and Eric Jones and all these guys who happen to be Spanish or Black and of just tremendous character, right? Isn't it amazing when you look around and see where your life is and it's a product of your environment and who you surround yourself with?
Joe, it's been it's literally overwhelming at times when in a good way when I start to think where God has brought me to. Let's be honest, real Joe. Where I come from, not too many people end up where I'm at because they don't make the decisions. Half of my friends, good friends, and I consider you my brother. I tell you this, not because we're on the pod, like you're my brother. I've slept in your sofa. You open your doors for me. Where your family is in there. Like that's you. That right there is more than anything. You're an officer. You don't judge me for where I've come from, where I've been. You judge me from the minute you met me, my character, how I carry myself. And for you to open your doors and allow me to stay at your house so we could do the camp, right? Because we got to talk about the camp, right? We went and did the Heart and Hustle camp, and I came and served with you at your first camp. Like that right there is what I fell in love with. Like I was like, yo, that's what's up, man. Because it's not easy to open another man's your house to another man and be comfortable with that. That's number one. Now that character piece is everything. Because right now I'm surrounded by individuals that are good friends of mine that are not only state troopers, officers as yourself, FBI agents, right? Like this is my circle now.
Yeah.
And this and I realized that title's a title. You're Caucasian. I'm Hispanic. You call me what you call me all the time? Your Puerto Rican brother, right?
Brother, you're my Puerto Rican.
Yeah, and I call you my Caucasian brother. Like it all comes down to this. We all have something in common. The common denominator is that our character stands at a high level.
Yeah.
And when you are at a high level, there's two things that's gonna happen. You're gonna either stick out like a sore thumb or you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
As I've gotten older, man, my circle's gotten smaller and smaller. And if like you hang out with me, like it's because I chose you to be there.
Yeah.
I don't listen. I know people my whole life where they haven't been to my house, right? You know,
There are going to be a lot of people listening to this upset,
yeah,
but
I don't care. Listen, you know, when my company did Mariano Rivera's Hall of Fame party last year up in Cooperstown, you know, the Yankees gave me a suite, you know, for a game, fully catered and fully stocked.
Yes.
Who was in that suite, bro?
Oh my God, me and my family, bro. And can I be honest with you, Joe? I'm gonna take the time to remind you again. That was life-changing for my little man.
Yeah.
That was for my wife. You gave us an experience. And I was geek for myself, but I was more geek that you did that for my wife and my son.
Yeah,
That
man.
was game changer.
Yeah, but when I had a vision of holding my first Heart and Hustle camp last summer, you were one of the first guys that I called because I wanted that experience for my athletes who were at that camp to see somebody like yourself who they've probably never seen anybody like you before.
Mm-hmm.
And to see you get out of your wheelchair and bear crawl 40 yards with a cone on your back was life-changing for those kids. And how much do those kids love you, bro?
Oh my
Like
God,
that
that
was
was
so amazing to see. And, you know, when we do it again this year, you're going to be there again. And I said, hey, Jorge, listen, man, I'm having a camp. And you were like, dude, tell me when I'm there. So when somebody, and never asked for a nickel. So when I had the opportunity to pay somebody back, you know, with an experience like that, you bet your ass I'm going to do it. And I told you this summer, your wife and Jason, they're going to spend the weekend at my house down here.
they're already planning on it, bro.
Yeah, we're going to be in the
they're already planning on it. They're planning on it.
Because listen, I just want, at this point in my life, man, I just want to surround myself with good people who want the world to be a better place and who want to help each other get there. Like, I don't want to be around judgmental people, Jorge. Listen, I know people my whole life who talk shit about me every single day, and then they smile when they're around me. Like, yeah, I'll be cool with you because I'm not a vindictive person, or I don't have, you know, bad intentions. But I know, and if I'm gonna have amazing experiences, be part of something great, I'm bringing the people along with me who want to see me succeed.
That's it.
Right? Be careful of the people who don't clap when you do good. And I'm running today. I'm running my mile, right? And I'm listening to my motivational YouTube thing. And they said, well, one of the guys was saying how when you get to the top, people will clap for you and they'll applaud for you and they'll worship you. But when you're grinding to get there, nobody wants nothing to do with you. So I want to be around people who we're enjoying the process together. We're helping each other get there. And, you know, the good experiences along the way, those people who are clapping and those people who are helping and lifting are going to be the ones that get to enjoy the spoils, you know, the fruits of the labor. That's for sure.
Definitely don't be in a room where they're tolerating you. You need to be in a room where they're celebrating you from the bottom to the top. That's it.
Listen, for those of you who are listening, this is pretty amazing stuff. When I look at Jorge, when I try to translate my relationship with him and the things that I've learned, the lessons that I've learned from him, he's taught me so much. It's so funny. You have a ninth grade dropout with a GED education, coming from coming from the streets and being a part of a gangbang, could teach you so much. What he's taught me the most is not to take things for granted. Right. And you know what's so crazy is this COVID-19 thing right now is also just reinforced that, Jorge. Like, tomorrow is not promised. You know, it's not. I don't want to be morbid, but I went to a call yesterday, a 20-year-old female, unresponsive, so not breathing. So we fly there, you know, and we rush in the door, and it's one of my students is there. It's her sister. And she's looking at me. She's like, Officer Joe, what's going on right now? And I had to tell her that her sister died. And what was so crazy about that is that she's like, I just saw her last night at 12:30. Like, her mom and dad just bought this beautiful young lady a flat screen television. And she walked into her mom's room, Jorge, at 12:30 last night or 2 nights ago, kissed her mother on the cheek and hugged her and said, thank you for my TV, Mommy. and she was sitting in her bed watching television. She went to sleep and never woke up.
Wow.
Life is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised. The fact that you were walking down the street one day and you're rolling down the street the next is living proof that we take the slightest things for granted every day.
Yes, we
When
do.
I talk about gratitude all the time, and you're a spiritual man, Jorge, and listen, when we went on E's retreat down to Mexico, one of the best experiences of my life, I'll be honest with you, man, one of the best experience. Listen, I believe, but I'm not a super ultra spiritual person, and I want to get better at that. But one of the greatest experiences of my life when we were in Mexico was
Jamaica.
Excuse me, was worship every morning
Yeah.
on the beach as the sun came up.
Yeah.
Right. And I talk about gratitude all the time. And sometimes you stumble upon something to be grateful for. And I told athletes that we're working with last week, how about being grateful that you opened your eyes this morning?
Oh, first thing you do.
Because how many people went to bed last night and never woke up?
Never woke up. I mean, that's what you just said about that young lady is real life. It's real life. And a lot of us, we're so caught up in the rat race. We're so caught up trying to impress other people. We're so caught up trying to make it that you have to really, really understand that breathing air and waking up every morning, that's the biggest win you could ever achieve on a daily basis.
You're never going to achieve the things that you want ahead of yourself in life if you don't stop and reflect and be grateful for the things that you already have.
Yes, sir.
Right? You know, your situation, you have a beautiful wife, you got a stepson, right? You got a house, you got a career, you got a job, you have the ability to serve. Like those are all things to be so grateful for. I have a beautiful wife that I've been with since I'm 15 years old, and I have 3 healthy kids, and I have a house, and I have friendships and relationships, and I'm so grateful every single day. That's how I measure success, Jorge. I don't measure success by
Speak on that, baby boy.
By my bank account. I measure success by being able to do the things that I love to do, and having, you know, and being grateful for the things that I have. If you could be grateful for what you have, truly, honestly, in your heart, then you're successful.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, listen, I don't care if you live in a 1-bedroom apartment and you have a healthy family and you love it and you have 1 television and you love it, then you know what? You're successful, because there are some people that are living in grass huts. There are some people who are sleeping on cardboard boxes in the streets of Manhattan right now. There are people who are dying homeless on the subways every single night in New York City right now.
In the United States. Yeah.
In the United States of America. So you made it. You're here. You're living, right? You're healthy. You're successful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Before we wrap up, Jorge, I like to ask every single one of my guests, and I have an idea of what your answer is going to be, but when Jorge Sierra's time comes to meet his maker, and you go back and you look at your life, what do you want your legacy to be?
I really want to be able to look back and when it's time for me to go, you know, I truly believe that we all have a purpose in this life. I didn't die 26 years ago because I'm not done with my legacy. I'm not done with what God needs me to do. So when I look back, I want to be able to be that individual of that name, that person that has changed the trajectory of lives. I want to be able to, and it's not on a finance way. I mean, in a finance way, I have a dream that I want to be able to pay tuitions to young brothers and sisters of myself. I want to be able to help single moms and single dads, or just, you know, folks that are dealing with poverty. Like, that on a financial level, I want to be able to do for them. But what I want to do is just allow them to understand that their situation does not define who they are. And I also want to be able to be, talked about and really respected, like the Martin Luther King's, Mother Teresa's. Like those are the people that I look up to. I'll be honest with you. Why? Because they did it they changed the world with love. They changed the world with just action, not physical action. Because this you could either do something with physical, and I tried that. That's not an answer. Hate does not work. I promise you. But love will always conquer. So I want to be that symbol of love, that symbol of hope, that symbol of like, Jorge has showed us the way of not only be having the humility to be able to become the man that they needed to be, not only for himself, for his family, for the rest of the world. So I want my legacy to be at a point that it's going to change generations to generation, because that's wealth to me, right? Like if your name is still being ringed 30, 50, 60 years after you're gone, you was impactful in this world. And that's where I'm reaching, Joe. That's the level of success that I want to get to. And it all starts within my own household, my family, because if I can, if my family is not but behind me and I'm not supportive of my family and I'm changing the world, that doesn't mean anything. So I believe that it starts within your home, it starts within yourself, and then you change the world.
Yeah. So you take one kid born from in a broken home, mom or dad not in his life, on the streets, hanging out with gangs, doing drugs, committing crimes. You can get an ear or a voice to that kid, and he changes his life and grows up to be someone who doesn't allow his kid to do that, and his kid becomes successful and lives in a stable home. And you just changed a generation for somebody, right? So one person can have a profound effect on a generation just by starting with changing one person.
Let me be honest, Joe. We already did that.
Yeah.
And so just before we get off, I want you to know that my story, my sister's story, my mom's story is no longer our kid's story. You see, none of our kids are having kids while they're teenagers. You know, my nephew, my oldest nephew was the first one. Now he's 26 years old, has had his firstborn. All of my nephews have graduated high school. They all either decided to go to college or they're going into a career. My daughter graduated. She's in college, becoming a nurse. We broke the chains by making the decisions we made, and we had to put our hands into the fire. But now that's not a thing no more. They're not going to have to be able to say that, oh, I come from a broken down welfare recipient household. No, that's not their language. They don't know that. So it starts within yourself. And you're right. Now that I implemented the seed down my family, it's just gonna trickle down all the way down. The reason I don't know my grandfather, the reason I don't know my great grandfather is because he never left us nothing. Yeah. He never left us information. He never changed anything for us. I don't even know who the man is. Yeah. Jorge is gonna be that grandfather, great grandfather. Then we're like, he changed the trajectory of our life.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, bro. I could sit here and talk to you for hours. First of all, good to see your handsome face.
Hey, likewise, my brother. Likewise.
My people, right, who are listening to this podcast. If you found any sort of value in this, listen, if you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. But if you found any sort of value in my time with Jorge tonight, please share the podcast. Leave us a review. We're building this thing from the ground up. I'm going to continue bringing people of high character with great stories and life experiences that are going to help you guys navigate and find the best version of yourselves. And that's what life is all about. Life is not about competing against the person next to you. Life is about finding the best version of yourself so you can live your best life. I hope you guys took something from this today. Jorge, I can't thank you enough. You let me know when it's time to get up, when all this nonsense goes away and you hit up that mentorship program again up in your barbershop. You let me know I'm there. I love you, bro. You know that.
I love you too, my brother. Thank you for having me.
My love to the family. And we'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk diet, nutrition tomorrow.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
You have a good night, all right, man?
You as well.
Have a nice day, everyone.